What is up, the Lions fans? It's your boy Motor City Don P. We are back here once again, and you already know what time it is. It is time to talk about some stuff. And the stuff we're going to talk about today, a little bit of stuff we talked about yesterday, because people have had 24 hours, so to speak, to let the situation digest as far as who this new offensive coordinator is and what he can bring to the table and all these other things. And I really still don't like the hire. I'm just going to tell you that right off the bat. But when you see me front your TV, one thing's for certain, three things are for sure. Number one, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Number two, we came to give you stats, not none of that static. And number three, perhaps the most important number of them all, number three. Want to make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic and maybe asking yourself, how, Don? How, Mr. P, does one keep their Lions news pragmatic? Well, it's very simple, and I'll tell you. I'm not going to keep the information from you. That's not what I do. You have to smash the like button. You have to subscribe, share with your peoples. And once you've done that, in any order, it doesn't matter which order you've done it in, you've indeed kept your Lions news pragmatic. And speaking of your peoples, when you share this stream with your mother, your brothers, your fathers, sisters, your cousins, your uncles, your brothers, your fathers, sisters, your mothers, you name it, you have indeed cared about those people. Sharing is caring. All right. What up, though, everybody in the chat? What up, though, Tactical Sport? What up, though, for the people that will be straggling in a little bit later? We got a little bit of a late start today. I was not able to get home 30 minutes ago, so I'm here now. It is what it is. Um, after reflecting, after taking some time to think about the Drew Petzing hire, Petzing, I call him Pretzel. I really, it's gonna take a while. Um, the part that sticks in my craw, the part that I can't truly understand is Mike McDaniel not being a good fit. If you look at Mike McDaniel, and I said this yesterday, and I've been saying this, Mike McDaniel from the Kyle Shanahan tree, he does Kyle Shanahan things. Nobody in NFL circles will tell you that there is a better run designer than Kyle Shanahan. Nobody will tell you that. Kyle Shanahan is the master of taking also rans and dudes nobody's ever heard of and getting them 1,000 yards and then getting them contracts. I mean, what's the dude's name? Jordan Mason went in there in place of CMC when he had the double Achilles tendonitis, right? Had 1,000 yards, and now he's with the Minnesota Vikings. You had guys all throughout the years, Matt Breida, the list goes on with people who just thrived in Kyle Shanahan's offense. And we've got two running backs that we need to thrive. One of them we need to thrive because he's in conversations, or he was in conversations until the second half of this season. This past season, he was in conversations as the best running back in the NFL, right? And then he finished the season with a paltry 5 yards per carry. We say paltry because to him, it's paltry, right? Early on, I think by the Giants game, after he killed the Giants for 200 plus scrimmage yards, he was averaging 5.7 yards per carry, almost 6 yards per carry. And from that game on, he went down to 5 yards per carry. There was a stretch of games before the Chicago game, the 3 games before the Chicago game, where Jahmyr Gibbs had 68 yards from scrimmage, not average 68 yards. He had 68 yards from scrimmage in 3 games, not in each of the 3 games. People, listen to what I'm saying. Total of 68 scrimmage yards in 3 games. And that's what led to him having the 5 yards per carry average. Then we got Monty in here who we don't even know if he's gonna be here. We know Brad Holmes pretty much kicked him out of the door with his comments. It'll actually be, frankly, it'll be a shock to me if Monty is still there. If we don't hear a yeah, man, we sat down and we had a good talk and everything got straightened out. If we don't hear that in the media, if nobody comes out, whether it be Monty, whether it be Brad Holmes, whether it be Dan Campbell, nobody comes out and addresses it in that matter to confirm that the conversation has happened and we sat down at the table, I'll be very, very surprised if David Montgomery is still here. So when you had the chance to hire a Mike McDaniel because he was a fit, I don't care what you say. He was a fit. Now, here's the thing that's been floating around out there. Okay. People think that, well, and I know somebody said this in this chat yesterday, that basically Dan Campbell was afraid of Mike McDaniel because he felt that Mike McDaniel would take his job or something like this. Okay. And I don't agree with that. Dan Campbell is he wants yes men around him. I don't agree with that. But the one thing that I did hear that it gives some credence was that he maybe didn't want to give up the reins of the offense. Complete total control. You got to give him up to Mike McDaniel. Remember what I did when I said this is how the meeting needs to go? Here you go, Mike. I just, whenever they talk about like an AJ Brown type of player, he wants to win, but he wants to be the reason that they're winning. That's what I think about if you say to me that Dan Campbell was afraid to give up the reins of the he didn't want to give up complete control of the offense, which is asinine, right? It's asinine. Let's let's do it like this. We got a super group of entertainers, and the group is so super that we need certain people to be heads of the divisions. Or actually, no, I'll do it this way. We got a record label. Okay, I got a record label. This makes more sense. I got a record label, and I really like rap, and I really like to be in control of the rappers. But this record label is going under, and if I can just infuse some new business into it, it's going to take us to the heights, and I'll still be able to stay at the top of the record label, and I'll be making so much more money because the record label will again be profitable. And LL Cool J comes in and goes, "Hey man, let me be in charge of the rappers." And I'm like, yeah, that's not a good fit. He's not a good fit. So then I go and I hire C Murder. You know what I'm saying? I go and I hire Silk the Shocker. And I'm like, because Silk's not a great rapper, right? And I don't think he knows how to rap that great. So I'm gonna hire him so that I can keep tabs on the rappers. That's crazy. Here's what I'm doing with my record label. LL Cool J, cool. You can be in charge of the rappers. Mariah Carey, you can be in charge of the singers. Hootie, you can be in charge of all the blowfish. You know what I mean? Whatever the case may be. You hire the best person for the job. I've also heard this. Maybe Dan Campbell didn't want someone who was going to come in here and just be an offensive coordinator for a year or two. Why not? If his star is shining that bright, that is only positive for your football team. You may be able to catch lightning in a bottle and win a damn Super Bowl in the 1 year that he's here or the 2 years that he's here. If you do that, you don't give a damn where he goes because you've accomplished the goal. We just have to look not too far. How far down the road is Bloomington, Indiana from Detroit? Right? Not too far, right? Curt Cignetti comes in and his second year of his tenure wins a national championship title in Indiana for football, not basketball, football. You have to go all the way back to the 1980s to understand that they ever had a chance to beat contenders. 40 plus years ago. And no matter what happens, they could fall flat on their faces next season and be 0-12. But you could never take away that championship. Michigan had a similar situation. They won the national championship. Jim Harbaugh left. JJ McCarthy left. They didn't even have a damn quarterback. And they had the freaking dumbass dude, Sherrone Moore, as their head coach, and they did terribly. But you know what everybody had to do when they wanted to clown Michigan and you had to mention the fact that they came from where they came from and where they dropped to. And that's why it was so funny. Y'all won the national championship. Stop right there. We won the national championship last year. Okay, carry on. So all that Alex orgy and there's an orgy in the end zone, all that stuff that was going on, a quarterback that can't throw the football 10 yards down the field, and then we got I can't remember the cancer dude's name, right? It sucks that I call him the cancer dude, but I don't remember his name. Okay? All that, the quarterbacks the pass game was terrible. We couldn't do nothing. But everybody had to acknowledge the fact that just a year prior, we won the national championship, which is why it was such a big deal. Which is why it was such a big deal when Michigan fell all the way from the top of the mountain to the bottom. Your fall from grace was so far down because you were at the summit, right? You reached the peak. You were at the pinnacle. Everybody had to kiss the rings. So what purpose is it to say, well, I want someone, continuity? Who gives a damn? It's the NFL. Do you know what that stands for? National Football League. But you know what else people say it stands for? Not for long. And that means, one, the average player career is 3 years. 2, if you got someone good, they're not going to stick around. That's just how it goes. The NFL is a copycat league. Sean McVay, he's youngest coach to win a Super Bowl or whatever, somewhere around there, right? NFL starts copying. They want to start poaching his assistants. They want to start poaching coaches from his squad. You have a cup of coffee with Sean McVay, and all of a sudden you are now a head coach somewhere. And Sean McVay understands that. But see, Sean McVay is the offensive mastermind over there. Dan Campbell is not the offensive mastermind over here. So why not bring in an offensive mastermind? I'd rather have a season or two with Mike McDaniel and see what we can do while he's here than not. And everybody understood the same thing was going to happen once you saw who Osama bin Johnson was as an offensive play caller. Once you saw his ability to do that, you knew he wasn't going to be here long. Which is why everybody in the fandom, well, not everybody, I'm sorry, can't say everybody. Which is why people who had common sense understood that there needed to be a sense of urgency. There needed to be a sense of urgency, which is why we crash out when this defense cannot get fixed ever. And we're going to talk about that next. I'm going to get to your comments. But not a fan of the Drew Petzing hire. And I won't be a fan of the Drew Petzing hire until I see that he can do something in this offense. Everybody's wondering who's going to be the odd man out. Is it going to be J-Mo? Is it going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown? Is it going to be Isaac TeSlaa? Because he puts one receiver on the field more than anybody else. One wide receiver. Guess what? Jahmyr Gibbs, remember the whole thing with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery being on the field at the same time, and we want to get Jahmyr Gibbs involved in the passing game, right? Guess what? Drew Petzing doesn't really use his running backs in the passing game like that. Not intentionally, not splitting them out wide, not putting them in the slot. It's a check down, a dink and dunk. All those Texas routes or those choice routes, as we call them, all those routes that you like to see Jahmyr Gibbs run, gone in Drew Petzing's offense. How is it a fit? No innovation, predictability, bland, vanilla. But he went to Harvard. He went to Yale. Oh, he's supposed to be so intelligent. Where? Where's your creativity? When a coach tells you after the game that you played against that we pretty much knew everything that they were going to run. When the fans lament how predictable you become in your offense, and all we can talk about really is the running game. Oh, he had a top 10 running game, whatever. What about the passing? We just had a coordinator who didn't know how to do both. And he was terrible at the pass game too, because he didn't know how to layer routes. He didn't know how to not throw freaking smoke screens on 3rd and 15. He didn't know how to do anything. He didn't know how to use the middle of the field. He didn't know how to keep Jameson Williams involved, because all you can do is throw 75 yards down the field when it's J-Mo. He can't catch it. God forbid Jameson Williams catches a 2-yard slant and takes it to the house. No, that wasn't Johnny Mo's thing. So, I mean, get ready, guys. Get ready. All right, let me read your comments. Yeah, I hated the hire. I was like, oh, this guy's stupid. He's a meathead. Blah, 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 blah. Yep, that was me. Go find it. Go find it in the tape. I challenge you to do so. Well, the scheme seems to fit. I still don't like it and give it a C to a C minus. Who's Kyle? What are you talking? Go away. I'm like, what the frick are you talking about? Yep, I agree with that. Dan wants yes men and not to be outshined. Like Ben just made Dan look silly. That why he wasn't a fit. That's why he wasn't a fit. LOL. The people that come in and talk crap. No, I don't agree with everything that the Detroit Lions do. How about this? I've been alive for 43 years, and the Detroit Lions have how many Super Bowls in that time? The Detroit Lions have been to how many Super Bowls ever? Oh, okay, because they're infallible. Whatever they do, we should all bow down at the altar of Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. Give me a freaking break with that crap, man. Once this franchise wins a Super Bowl, I will be happy and I will have nothing to say. Because as a fan of the football team, I want to see a Super Bowl. If you don't want to see a Super Bowl, kick rocks and go deal with another creator who doesn't want to see a Super Bowl. I've got a list of people that you can go to. I know one that you can go to very well. He doesn't care about anything but being right himself. I don't believe that for 1 second. Hold on, let me close this because it isn't. There we go. All right. Said I don't believe that for 1 second. Of Dan brings him in, he looks like a genius. Not bringing him in, well, if things go sideways, he could still come in and take his job. You nailed it, but it won't matter if this don't work. It's curtains for Dan and maybe Brad too. I think with Brad, we'll know exactly where his job security stands if he goes in there in the third. Well, he doesn't have any third rounders anymore. So, so I guess he protected himself from drafting, project players. I don't know. What up, though, Gotti? As a matter of fact, I bring him in and tell him your job is to get us to a Super Bowl and train the next OC, McDaniel. Yeah, identify somebody. Hey, who can you get from the Shanahan tree that's up and coming and nobody's talking about, and we can bring him on over here, give him a promotion and let him learn under you and be ready to go. Because of the billionaire paid all the players, LOL. Are you talking about Indiana? They got that Mark Cuban bag. Is there a way that Sheila can step in early before if Brad and Dan gets too far off course, or does the fans have to suffer the entire season? Oh, there's a way, but then at the end of the day, if you fire a regime in the middle of an off season, what is you're going to have an interim regime because it's too late to come in. So, for example, we go to the draft and Brad Holmes just drafts 7th rounders in the first round. I'm just saying something crazy, right? You fire the GM and you have an interim GM because that GM has already missed out on free agency and the draft. What is he actually doing? Right? He's got nothing to do. Now he's got to be saddled with signing players from the draft and all of this other stuff. So no, even if they went off the rails, you're still going to be suffering for the entire season because the people that are going to be brought in here after you fire them are not the people that you're going to move forward with, and they're going to operate that way. McDaniel wasn't a fit like Carter in the draft. Exactly. Who would want him? Jalen Carter. All right. Dan and Brad pricked this guy because he was the cheapest, and maybe they're trying to get fired, which leads to a bigger conversation. They want to be fired. Being fired and quitting are two different things. And quitting, I talked about this yesterday. If Brad didn't feel like he got the support from Sheila or whatever, and he felt like he had one hand tied behind his back, then why not just quit? So then when you go to the interviews and they go, well, who steps down from a GM job? And you say, well, I did because this, and this. So it makes you look better if you quit, not get fired. Hey, this guy's Ben Johnson's best friend. So, we are back, baby. My best friend is a brain surgeon. I can do brain surgery if you need it. Nah, I'll pass. As a matter of fact, Melvin and Dan have won just as many Super Bowls as me. Facts. Did you hear that the Chiefs are about to hire Eric Bieniemy as OC again? They're going to hire him as their OC again, and he's not going to call plays again, and he's not going to advance his career at all again. Okay, that's cool. They can hire him if they want to. That's crazy. All right. Defense wins championships. The Detroit Lions fans who are watching the playoffs, because there's some people that say that they're not going to watch the playoffs, they're not watching them because the Lions aren't in them, whatever the case may be. I've been watching the playoffs, watched all the games. I watched Josh Allen get his ass beat this past weekend and still almost win the game. And then they fired the coach. And the Buffalo Bills players are upset about it. They said it was a stupid firing. But Josh Allen went up against who? Who did Josh Allen go up against? Who did they play? Who he play for? The Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos had damn near 70 sacks this season. And they got off after Josh Allen. They have a cornerback named Patrick Surtain Jr., who is widely regarded as the best cornerback in the league. I saw CJ Stroud turn back into a pumpkin again. And I saw the defense, Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson, Danique Autry, Aziz Shire, all these people. Keep it close. But what happened on the other side of the football with the Patriots defense was that Carlton Davis still owns CJ Stroud. He had 2 more interceptions on CJ Stroud, just like he did the last time he played him when he was with Detroit. As a matter of fact, the first of those 2 interceptions was the catalyst to us coming back and winning the game when Jared Goff shot the bed and threw 5 picks. CJ Stroud shot the bed and threw 4 picks, one of them being a pick 6. He was constantly under pressure, constantly making bad decisions, getting hit, getting sacked, rattled, rendered completely ineffective. As I said, Carlton Davis had 2 picks there. The guy that you didn't want to pay. You couldn't have parted ways with $4 million a year for 3-4 more years. You couldn't have done that. Right? An extra $12 to $16 million, you couldn't have found that anywhere. I know, Brad Holmes. You definitely could not have found an extra $12 to $16 million. You wouldn't have found it. So I agree wholeheartedly. Just let him walk out of the door. I guess I guess he's going to get a compensatory pick for Carlton Davis because he went and signed a big deal. So that's another third round draft pick. So maybe we do have a third round draft pick. Or did we already get it? Tactical, you can help me out on that. Did we already get the compensatory pick for Carlton Davis, or are we getting it in this draft? So you let him walk out of the door. Justin Herbert, when going up against the same Patriots defense, was sacked 6 times. Right? And the Chargers tried not to be outdone. They tried to keep pace, and they sacked Drake May 5 times. The Chicago Bears have a defensive coordinator named Dennis Allen, who's experienced at the job. And the point of emphasis was we need to get after Jordan Love. And they did. They didn't just say this is a point of emphasis. See, a lot of the times with the Lions, oh, this is a point of emphasis, and we do nothing. We got to get after the quarterback, and we can't. We got to stop the run, and we can't. We have to make this adjustment and that adjustment, and we don't make it. Or if we do make it, it doesn't work. That was the story of our defense all of this year. The defense has been bad under Brad and Dan. It just has been. We have never had a defense with, barring injury or whatever. I think last year, the 15-2 season was probably the year that we felt like our defense was going to be able to do something, and everybody got injured. Cool. But for whatever reason, when I look at Houston, when I look at Denver, when I look at New England, who's coming off of back-to-back 4-13 seasons. Guys, listen. Back-to-back 4-13 seasons. No talent on their team. Drive Drake May. He goes 4-13 his rookie year, and then they all of a sudden are 14-3. How? How? They spent the money in free agency. They made the trades. We want to get better on the defensive side of the football. So they did. So the fact that there are so many teams that can just say, we need to do this, and they do it, makes me wonder why this regime cannot field a competent defense. Why have we been talking about the pass rush for 5 years? Why are we talking about the same things over and over and over and over again? And then we have a GM who sits there and goes, we're going to take the same approach. A general manager of a football team that doesn't understand the nuance, he gets up there and he starts quoting stats. Oh, we had one guy who had 14 and a half sacks, and we had another guy that had 11 and a half. I don't think too many teams have that. Brother man, who cares? How long did it take? The Lions were last in time to pressure. And out of 32 teams, they were last. Okay? They were last. And, again, men lie, women lie, numbers don't, is what so many people think. And that's wrong. Men lie, women lie, numbers lie. El-Quadin Muhammad having an 11.5 sack season was phenomenal for him because he's 32 years old and he's about to go get a bag for the last couple of years of his career. That was phenomenal for him because there are other GMs around the league that don't understand numbers needing to have context, and they will overpay him. And that's fine. That's great. I love the fact that he's going to get that bag. I am not disparaging any person who goes and gets the bag. I'm not telling you he's not deserving of it. I'm not telling you none of that stuff. All I'm telling you is if you go back and look at his season, he had sacks in 7 games and no sacks in 10 of them. So what he does is he gets sacks in bunches, and that's great. That's great, but you know what I would rather see? I would rather see a guy like Trey Hendrickson, who had 17 sacks on a season in back-to-back years. And I would rather see a person get something like 17 sacks, 1 sack per game. You know why I would rather see that? I'd rather see that because that 1 sack per game could come in at a crucial time, stop in a crucial drive. We needed to get a stop and you got it here or whatever. Or maybe it came in garbage time, or maybe it came early in the game and it didn't affect anything. Maybe that's what happened. But if you can get sacks consistently, then you have a better chance to win games. And everybody wants to, there's, anybody that doesn't believe in the Patriots, they're like, oh, look at their schedule. You watch these playoffs this year, quarterbacks have been getting harassed. Quarterbacks have been getting sacked. Quarterbacks have been getting turned over. CJ Stroud played two games in the playoffs and had 7 interceptions. That's crazy. That tells you that CJ Stroud ain't him, but everybody watched his rookie season and thought he was him. I don't understand. Are you guys tired yet? Are you tired of looking at, bro, we look at these defenses and we're like, man, we're nowhere near that. We can't get after. You look at Minnesota. Now, next year, you're not going to look at Minnesota because Brian Flores is gone. But with Brian Flores, you look at Minnesota and you're like, God damn, bro. We could never get after the quarterback like that. We could never live in the backfield like that. You look at the freaking Texans. We could never. You look at the Patriots. We could never. You look at the Broncos. We could never. You look at the damn Seahawks. We could never. Hell, you look at the Rams. They have a better defense than us. Do you think our defense is better than Chicago's defense? Do you think our linebacking core is better than Chicago's linebacking core? I just want to know. Let me get to your comments. Has Bieniemy ever called plays? I don't think so. Not in the NFL. Denver and Bo Nix. Yeah. Well, 2 of them turnovers were directly because of Josh Allen. One was not supposed to be an interception, and the other fumble was because the left tackle turned into a traffic cone on that play. He turns into a traffic cone, but he got beat by a defender. You know what I mean? He got beat by a defender. No, we should get a fourth for Carlton Davis this year. Okay, so that's a fourth. Maybe we can take 2 fourths and trade up to the third. And now if we take 2 fourths and trade up to the third and get some project player out of Western Ken Fudge, who was not even going to be an undrafted free agent, you can fire Brad on the spot. You can fire him on the spot. Bro, you got it all wrong. We don't look at other teams in the NFL. We compare ourselves against other Lions teams. That way it's easy to make ourselves feel better. All right, cool. Let's do it this way then. Compare this Lions team to the Silver Rush Lions team defensively. Just take your time. It's okay. I know you're being facetious, but I'm just saying. And there are people that like to do that, right? So go ahead and make that comparison. McDaniel hired as OC of Chargers. You've got to be kidding me. That's freaking ridiculous. McDaniel hired as the OC of the Chargers is asinine. We're the best we've ever been. Isn't that good enough for you? No. No, it's not. We lost out on McDaniel to the Chargers somehow. No, we didn't. We didn't lose out on McDaniel. We let him. We chose to go another direction inexplicably. Jim Harbaugh and Mike McDaniel. That is going to be a weird ass locker room. I'll tell you that much. What up though, Lisa? We all good? Figures never lie, liars never figure. Facts. That sounds like voodoo, Don. Better players, better results. Crazy talk, man. Mike McDaniel just signs the OC with the LA Chargers. Yeah. And I just talked about Justin Herbert too. Yeah. I thought we couldn't get him because he was going to be a head coach. No. We couldn't get him because he wasn't a fit, apparently. Mm-hmm. The day after we hire Drew Petzing or Pensick, whatever his name is. What's it? Petzing? Okay, I can remember that because of pet and a zing. Petzing. Okay. The day after we hired Drew Petzing as the offensive coordinator, Mike McDaniel accepts not a head coaching job, an offensive coordinator job. That's what he accepts. That is crazy. Yep. Gonna be a long season. I only have one question. Do you all think complaining will change anything? Yes. Yes, Lisa. Because you know what? You have to give content. And my content is not going to be sitting up here lying to the people. I'm just not going to do it. You know? Over rush all damn day. Silver rush all damn day. Okay, got it. I'll take the 90s Lions too. The defense, yeah. McDaniel signed there because we shut the door here. Yep. What up, though, Mr. Morale 313? He wanted to be here. It's obvious. Yeah, because he took an offensive coordinator job somewhere else. I told y'all, he wasn't going to be the head coach of the Titans. He wasn't going to be the head coach of the Browns. He wasn't going to be the head coach of the Raiders. It wasn't. These jobs were going to end his career as a head coach. They were not going to prolong his career as a head coach, which is why I told y'all he wasn't going to take any of them. And I told y'all there weren't but 2 maybe 3 good head coaching positions. And some people called me crazy. And a lot of people didn't agree. Now you see what I'm saying? Just because you want a head coaching job, if you have been fired recently from a head coaching job, it does not behoove you to just jump into the next job that you see. It doesn't. Because if you're a head coach that's on your second chance, you want to be in a situation where you make the best out of your second chance. You want to be a situation where you're going to be there for a long time and you're always going to be in Super Bowl contention, like Sean McDermott. Now his players or his former players are rioting. They don't agree with that firing at all. Because under him, they were constantly a threat. They were constantly contenders. The only knock was that Patrick Mahomes was there. And the year that Patrick Mahomes is not there, I mean, Buffalo almost went back to the AFC Championship game. Almost. Right? A game-winning field goal by the Denver Broncos stopped that. And maybe some questionable flags. I don't know. It was the Tre'Davious White one. I mean, it was a flag, but at that point in the game, can you call it? Was it egregious? It looked more egregious in slow motion. And then you were a field goal away from the the AFC Championship game, and you get fired. So that's the point, right? That's the point. Not every head coaching job is good. Just because you want to be a head coach, sometimes you have to play the long game, right? The Detroit Lions was the first offensive coordinator interview that Mike McDaniel took. It was the first one. And we let him off the hook. We let him off the hook. You can say what you want to say, but the Chargers showed you today that they're a team that is trying to get to the next level. And we keep hiring bros and buddies. The fact that every coaching hire that we've made is a guy that somehow has ties to somebody there that's already in the room is crazy. The Detroit Lions, to get on the Detroit Lions coaching staff, it's like people trying to get jobs coming straight out of university when all the jobs want somebody that has some level of experience. And you're like, how am I supposed to get a job that wants experience when I just got out of school? So now you're like, how am I supposed to get a job on the Detroit Lions coaching staff and show them that I'm a really good coach when I don't have a relationship with anybody in the building? It's crazy to me to think that the downfall of Dan Campbell will be nepotism. I hope this offensive coordinator works out, bro. I really do. But that's all I can do is hope because I don't have confidence. I don't have confidence in and how do you reject the Shanahan tree? A dignitary from Shanahan land wanted to bring his tree and plant it in your backyard, and you said no thanks. Just let that sink in. You said no thanks. And if we see more of the same, Jameer Gibbs up the middle, Jameer Gibbs up the middle, Jameer Gibbs up the middle, we know unequivocally that's Dan Campbell. That's what Dan Campbell wants to do. And that's why Mike McDaniel didn't get the job because he wanted to be creative and innovative in the way that you run the football, just like Kyle Shanahan does. He wanted to make play action all the plays look the same. He wanted to bring that pre-snap motion to help you identify what's zone and what's man and so on and so forth. He wanted to do all the things that they do in Shanahan land. And you said, just like you said about Zadarius Smith, we're good. So we'll see. Mailbag, mailbag. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they reading you? Cynic, snick, snicker, six. Mailbag. Get your mailbag questions in. Get them in. Bask in it. I'm gonna get to your comments and hopefully mailbags. He is smart to me. He wants in the game with the right fit, but not the right fit we talk about in Detroit. There are a lot of people changing their tunes about the Petzing hiring now. Petzing, I'm not changing my tune at all. McDaniel did not want a head coach job just anywhere. No, he didn't. And that's why the Detroit Lions were the perfect fit. But he went to Los Angeles because the Detroit Lions hired Grew. Oh, Lordy. You know, culture. I feel you. Doug Stewart, good evening. Do we need more coaching changes? We did OC and we got a draft coming up, right? You know the game better than me, man. Uh I'm afraid of what the coaching changes might be. I'm just, you know, we kept Shep when Brian Flores was out there on the market. Raheem Morris is out there on the market. I understand that Shep's your guy and he's your friend, but we're in the business to make the team better so that we can give ourselves an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. And I think that just it's more important to them to be comfortable with the guy next to him, I guess. I don't know, bro. I don't know. If we don't make it next season, I will want to get a new GM before I can say goodbye to Dan. Yeah, there's a bunch of holes in this team, and the crazy thing is this: we've got a bunch of holes in the team due to poor drafting. And I know people will be like, "Oh, how could you say that about Brad the Messiah Holmes?" It's not the stuff that he hit on; it's the stuff that he missed on, and the way in which he missed on it. He missed on 2 second-round draft picks back to back, Josh Pascal and Levi Onwuzurike. He missed on everything in the third round. Everything. Because he was busy drafting 7th round draft picks and UDFAs in the third round. And then in order to make the team better and try to use these third round picks to trade for people, he pissed those away and used 3 of them on a wide receiver. The holes that we have on this team are due to poor drafting. That's it. That's all. And also the lack of desire. Again, it's like this team is so afraid of the outside world, bro. They need to call this team the Detroit Xenophobes. You're so afraid of everything, and they justify it. Well, you don't know. Obviously, this is a good player, but you don't know how he's gonna fit in the locker room. So then, okay, so you're stuck with draft and develop. Cool, that's great. You hit on a bunch of dudes, but there was a bunch of dudes you missed on, and you can't now develop those guys because they're no longer on the team. And you keep them on the team for far too long because you're trying to draft and develop. It's a cycle that doesn't make any sense. Just bring good players in from wherever you can, from trades, from free agency, from the draft. Because as I said, not for long is the NFL. And these contracts for Brad and Dan are up very soon. What's the extension going to look like? Is there going to be one? I don't know. I'm not changing my tune on him. I'm like Missouri now. They're one step away from becoming the brand new SOL. Ugh, that's crazy. Well, Dan just hooked his wagon to a donkey. If we don't make it, he on the way out too. Yeah. Rams are trying to do something impressive, maybe for Matt Stafford. He learned it all here. Well, you know what? I wish Brad Holmes would behave more like Les Snead and less like Brad Holmes. That's good because Lions been selling hope for 70 years. Well, Mike McDaniel got a job. Yep, we are just talking about that. Will our OC try to steal the moon? He just might. He just might try to steal the moon. I sadly think Bradley, Melvin, Cornelius, Ignatius Holmes outlast MCDC. I really don't know. I really don't know. It's at this point, we've talked about the coordinator hires that Dan Campbell has participated in. His best two hires went on to become head coaches of other teams. And it remains to be seen whether AG is a head coach or not. Obviously, AG did not have anybody to deal with this season. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't. Well, Melvin would have to outlast Dan. Normally, a OC isn't on the hot seat until they have their coach. Melvin didn't hire Dan. You mean normally a GM isn't on the hot seat? I mean, from what he's done while he's been here, I don't see how I don't see how that works. I just you can't extend him, bro, after 2027. If these holes don't get fixed, he's got this offseason and the next to field a competitive Super Bowl winning team, a Super Bowl contender with far less holes in it. The Lions will never change their philosophy under Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell because they got to the NFC Championship once. And instead of evolving and looking to see what could we do better to get ourselves back there, all we do is keep falling, falling, falling. We went to the NFC Championship game Then we had the first seed and got the divisional round. Then we missed and went out in the division. Then we missed the playoffs entirely. And won 6 fewer games. I don't know, bro. I don't know. Does our OC have a fart gun? I think he does. I think he does. And the Lions have a history of hanging on to GMs too long. The Lions have a history of hanging on to everybody too long, man. GMs, coaches, players. It's just that loyalty thing. And what does loyalty get you, bro? I'm truly dejected by the fact that the next day Mike McDaniel takes an offensive coordinator job. That's wild to me, bro. I don't even know, man. I can't. Once someone looked like Gru, I busted a gut laughing. So I've been doing this all day. Yeah, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. I called him Gru a little bit earlier before you came in here. But if next season looks like this season, they should clean house. They really should, bro. And I'm just tired of this team being late to the party, bro. They're just late to the party all the time. Well, when did you know and how much did you know about Frank Ragnall's retirement? Oh, after the draft. After the draft. There were breadcrumbs, though. There were breadcrumbs. But you didn't do anything about it. I don't understand, bro. I don't understand. Anyway, bro, I'm gonna head out. Once again, the Motor City Cats R&D back at it. We came to give you stats, not none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your lies news pragmatic. We'll talk about whatever we talk about tomorrow, bro. I don't even know. We are out. Peace.